Here, Richard. I'm gonna give you a shot. Hang in there.
Jill, here's my radio. Take it. I'm... Does it ever not hurt? I'm okay. The others...
John out here back with you for the Resident Evil Remake Let's Play Part 3. Now that we finally have the armor key, Richard's saved, we have a chance to navigate through the mansion, get some of these puzzles completed, and get more use out of this key, and in the next part upcoming, get rid of all of these keys and get the hell out of the mansion. So, try to keep this within 4 parts to be able to get out for the first time. I think is pretty good there. Try to keep things succinct. If there's anything else that you guys want me to change or make note of going forward, I will do so as well, as I can get this stuff uploaded on Facebook and YouTube. I'm not imagining too many comments and things forthcoming my way, but if I do see them, I will make note to get back to you as quickly as possible if I see it. So, here, after Richard had saved, it's just those green doors right across that hallway. No need to cut, just walk right across. You move the statues according to the picture across the screen. Eventually you'll get it that way. And then just, mess around with the jewelry box there. Sun and the moon. Sun to sunset, flip and then flip all the way across. That gets you the first death mask. Once you get all the death masks, 4 in total, then you can activate something else. The death mask is used where we got the sword key at the beginning of the game in the graveyard, but you have to have 4 death masks. So all we did was cut to the initial save point where the fuel canteen was. You go upstairs, and then to the right is where you would use the wooden mount in the fireplace. You have to have the wooden mount, the lighter. It gives you access to the second floor of the mansion map. So you can pick up any green herbs or anything else across there. Don't worry about the other door. That is a helmet key door that we're not going to be able to get to until a little bit later in the game itself. So in this spot, as long as you cleared the hallway, as mentioned before, and burn the zombies with the fuel canteen, you're not going to need to bring anything with you. So you'll have a lot of free inventory spots besides for the armor key. And you can pick up any healing items and solve any puzzles that are there. So, green and red herbs, if you know by now, you mix those together and you get a full healing item. All I did was cut to the item box, put my stuff in there just to free out some inventory space that you didn't need to see. So, all I'm doing here is making my way through. This is just a room with some healing items in it. If you go behind the bed, there's also a green herb, some ink ribbons, a red herb, a first aid box. So far, that's all we've picked up. So, all useful restorative items that you can use on your journey. In the next room across, there will be a cutscene with Barry. I will pause so you can listen to that. And then there will be a little bit of a puzzle to solve, nothing too crazy, just involving specimens and fishing lures that is easily done in that room.
Jill.
Barry, I didn't mean to get you that excited.
Right. Anyway, you should read this. What do you make of it?
Well, I guess we were right about this mansion being quite unnatural.
You have a way with understatements.
Where's the part that's torn off?
Well, my only guess is that it was the most important part and somebody didn't want anyone to see it. Let's continue our investigation.
So as you can see already, if you haven't already seen, there's a lot of stuff going on in this mansion. People that were there, stuff that was left, secrets that were kept, and a lot of that stuff along the Resident Evil timeline, the story itself. I might not be able to do a good job explaining all that to you, but there's a lot of YouTube videos and things like that of people talking about the Resident Evil timeline. It can be a convoluted mess, but I'll put it to you like this. Between 1, 2, and 3, they're all pretty closely connected. Jill Valentine is protagonist from Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 3, and that's pretty much all you need to know. And those things are days apart within Raccoon City and all the other incidents and stuff like that. So 1, 2, 3 are pretty intertwined, and it's a good trilogy to start with if you want to get involved with, you know, the main characters between Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, and Leon S. Kennedy. So, new to this iteration of the Resident Evil remake is no longer needing the crest to get out of the mansion. You need to have stone and metal objects. So that wind crest later in the game will allow you to get the Colt Python or the Magnum. So make use to remember that you're going to need the wind crest. If you don't do that, that's pretty much a completely optional area right there. You won't get anything. So I cut to where you would use the armor key next, which is the save point by the broken shotgun. This is where you will also need the chemical against plants, if you want to call it that, or the herbicide. You're going to need that there. If you picked up the blue gemstone in the dining room that you knocked that statue down from the beginning of the game, you can pick that up, and there's another room where you can use it. Now this room in particular, if you choose, you can pick up the Keeper's Diary, which has, you know, the itchy, tasty classic lines of the guy turning into a zombie. That's all that's really in there for you in an extra battery pack. But if you choose to exit, you can pick up the handgun bullets and just get the hell out of there without even having to do any combat. So you can save yourself the health and just keep the bullets. But that is your choice. So right across, that would be where the blue gemstone will be used for the tiger. That's what we're going to do right now. All I did was unlock the door, go a little cut where I needed to get some stuff and come back in. So blue gemstone. It's a tiger with blue and yellow eyes. You also pick up a red gemstone that you can use later on a jewelry box. If you try to put it inside the tiger, you will get a nasty surprise. I would suggest that you don't do that unless you want to save and see what happens to you beforehand. But an extra set of shotgun shells, nothing wrong with that. Shotgun shells, honestly, to me, are my favorite ammunition in this game because love to get the headshots on the zombies and get the decapitations. So all we did was stay in that same hallway, go all the way to the end. You use the herbicide and you flip it to the red, the corresponding color, and it will kill the tentacles that are in this room. If you do not use the herbicide, the tentacles will continue to beat you senseless until you die. So once you use the herbicide and get rid of the plants, you are free to pick up any of the herbs you see, which I would suggest if you have the item space. And like I mentioned, there's not really a lot to do here as far as enemies, so keep all the inventory slots open, pick up everything that you can, and in there is Death Mask number 2. So the first one was from the jewelry box, removing the statues. Now we get the second one from using the herbicide to kill the plant. You have 2 of the 4 death masks that you need to be able to get outside for the first time. So we're doing pretty good right now as far as healing items, as far as progressing through the mansion, as far as ammunition and weapons and things that we have. We have the grenade launcher, the shotgun, the handgun, plenty of ammo for it, and several defensive items with the daggers and the battery packs, green, red herbs, stuff like that. And you're going to get some of that scary music and things like that, but to be honest with you really have no other point to be back in this area, so you can just avoid the enemies altogether. My main goal right now is to go back through, and I'm out of fuel for the fuel canteen for the kerosene. Now this is risky, because sometimes when you go back in from where you first used the sword key, dogs will pop out of these windows. But if you feel up to it, the last fuel kerosene refiller is where you picked up the plant chemical in the first place. Now I'm just showing you, I didn't have to do all this backtracking to show you this, but there are enemies that can pop through. So you need to be very careful if you choose to do this. Especially going through the second time, you are going to go up against a lot of zombies and dogs and things like that. So this is a last resort refiller if you need to it, but if you want to, you can pretty much get rid of all the other zombies in there and then make sure they don't come back as Crimson Heads. So to me it's worth it to take just a little bit of minor damage here from the dog and then just burn the rest of the things that I need. So, if there's still reason to come back here at some point, you still have one more refill as far as this playthrough is concerned, but you shouldn't really need to come back here anymore. And again, like we mentioned, the zombies came through the window, so I'm just booking it out of there, and I'm getting to the next door with the armor key. Now, as we've seen, just to that door right to the right, that's where the save point is. That's also where one of those doorknobs are broken. I haven't gone through it yet, but there's only a couple times you can go through there. There's a decapitation, and I want to set up this other zombie here just to make sure that this room is cleared. So I got my obligatory shot in there, switch to my handgun or whatever else I got on file in the inventory, make sure that the zombie is down, and that already paid for me to go ahead and use and refuel that fuel canteen, because now all these zombies in this area are gone. I consider it very important, and that's the first time I actually showed one of the burning sequences, I consider it very important to keep that fuel canteen filled. It's harder to try to play that game and balance when you're crisp because you have less inventory spots, but it's one of those instances there where you see it's very important. So this is your obligatory puzzle from the initial Resident Evil, where you needed to have pictures, as it were, from a newborn baby to an old man. And in that sense, you would do the circle of life. It would give you one of the crests that you would need to get out. And there you go, because you needed the 4 crests to get out. Now you need the death masks and the stone and metal objects. So this puzzle has just been slightly reworked as 3 pictures in stained glass. What you want to do is you have the crown be the color green, the necklace be the color purple, and the bracelet be the color orange. When they are the correct colors and you press the button at the end of the picture, the door will open. It will give you a cut through the graveyard where the zombies still are at the moment, and another item that we will need to get later as far as extra ammunition, but this gives you a death mask. If you do not have the correct puzzle solution, I believe in this remake the crows will still come down and peck your face off, just like they do in the initial release of Resident Evil. As far as the Nintendo DS version of Resident Evil, I believe all of that stuff is the same, but when you're playing in a range game in the DS version, with the stylus, you have like knifing sequences and other things like that, and little extra puzzles, so the game is a little bit different still. I think the Nintendo DS version of Resident Evil Deadly Science, or DS, is pretty damn good in its own right. So if you played, Resident Evil Director's Cut, you played Resident Evil Deadly Silence, and you played the remake, this GameCube version or the HD remaster, you pretty much have 3 different versions of Resident Evil that are all very, very playable. You know, it's a little bit different time between each ones and the things that you can do, but are all very playable, and see the subtle differences, and the gameplay will keep things fresh and interesting. So here we've gone through a lot of the stuff in the armor key. All I want to do right now before we end part 3 is to go back to where we saved Richard. There is a spot where you need to get the sheet music. The sheet music is what allowed you, when you had it in the emblem in the clock room, in the dining room, when you played the piano, it opened the door, you used the emblem, and you solved the puzzle. You know, you exchanged the emblem with the gold emblem and things like that. So, in this version of the remake, there are 2 parts to the sheet music. This is where one of the parts is at. So, again, I had the fuel canteen with me, and now I'm out of fuel once again. I'm going to go ahead and get that last part of it. I'm going to have that cut out of the video, but I'm going to get the sheet music. And again, in this version, I want to reiterate that the lighter is very important, not just in terms of burning bodies, but you're going to be using it for puzzle solutions and things like that, because I believe in the initial release of Resident Evil, this was one of the only other times that you used the lighter, besides getting the map, was being able to get an extra set of handgun bullets or something like that. In this version, it pays to have the lighter in your inventory. So we already picked up a couple extra sets of handgun magazines here, so that's nice. Now be very careful. Once you push this, there's going to be a zombie that's going to be right on top of you. So if you know that, then you can avoid being bit there. And then since they're slow, you can just do a loop around the table, pick up the sheet music, and get the heck out of there. We're going to be coming to a close on part 3 of the Resident Evil Let's Play in its entirety. This is your host, John Ott. I hope you're enjoying this so far. If you have any questions, like I said, as I see these things get uploaded, I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Have a good one, everybody, and when we start part 4, we're going to get out of the mansion here for the first time and use up the rest of these keys. It's going to be pretty quick that we use the keys up, so have a good one, and we'll get back to it next time.